to the vlog. It is Wednesday, it is 90 degrees, and it feels so good to be outside in this heat. I know I will not be feeling the same way in like July and August, but for now I'm very happy to have it be warm and sunny. We just have been getting so much rain recently, so I'm enjoying it. I'm outside ready to plant up the pumpkin patch with our pumpkins, squash, gourds, and cucumbers. It is in the area that we cleared recently, where I created a temporary rock-lined garden. This might not be where it lives every season, but for this season we needed a space, and I just picked a spot. So I'm going to go grab the seedlings that we started, probably a little too early, but they'll be fine, and bring those over. I've got a couple bags of compost, a shovel, my rake, a bucket, so I think we've got everything we need. I'm just gonna dig a little hole for each seedling, put a healthy handful of compost in the ground, and then backfill the soil in around it. This is gonna be a really full space. It's going to be overflowing. So I'm just crossing my fingers that it's not too full. We'll see. I definitely have some extra seedlings, but if I don't have enough space here, I'm just gonna start sticking things places because we are out of space. The gardens are full, and if I don't get them in soon, they're not gonna have enough time to grow. So the time is now. Covered in dirt, but we got everything planted. That soil is an absolute mess. I will be interested to see how well things grow. It's very compact. It's very sandy on the top and clayey as you get deeper, and it is just riddled with bittersweet. It's as much soil as it is bittersweet roots. It's just insane. Like, some of them are 3, 4, 5 inch roots. They're crazy thick. So we'll see. I mean, I put compost in each hole. I dug as deep as I could, which wasn't super deep. I'm feeding the plant as much as I'm feeding all of the bittersweet around it. I feel like sometimes I underestimate how well things grow in subpar conditions, but that soil really has nothing to give other than the compost I put in it. So we will see. I'll keep you posted. I'm sure we'll have to add a little something throughout the season just to keep things fed and going. Those are all huge vining plants, so if anything, I feel like they're gonna need to be fed the most. But it's done. I'm back inside. I need to rinse off really quickly, and then I need to head to pick up our rain barrel that I ordered in the town next to us. A lot of the towns around us participate in this rain barrel program, so you can get a rain barrel at a discounted price. And I think for us, the purpose is to extend our water source beyond what is currently available at the house. But for a lot of people, it's also a way to minimize their water cost. So I will show you what that all looks like. We don't have a plan exactly yet. I know roughly where I want to put it, but we also have to set up a temporary gutter to collect the water, and that's a project for another day. So step one, pick up the barrel. We'll figure out the rest later. Alrighty, I picked up our new rain barrel. The barrel is from the Great American Rain Barrel Company, and you can go onto their website, and if you're located, I don't know if it's just Massachusetts or if they do other states as well, but you can like enter your state and your town to see if they are a part of this program. And if not, like I just got one from a town nearby, so you might be able to do something like that. But you can also buy these barrels from that same company. They're just not at the discounted price. It's got these little holes in the top and this filter fabric. So we'll connect a gutter to this stretch here so that it runs down the gutter and then down this little drain pipe and dribbles into the top here where we'll collect water. And then we've got some hardware here and this little extender, which we'll be able to connect to a hose down here in one of these little holes. You can do it low, you can do it a little bit higher, so we can kind of like customize it depending on what setup we want. And then we'll be able to water the pumpkin patch and the back garden a little bit more easily. I'll probably need like a 50-foot hose from here so that I can reach both. But this will just save my back. I won't have to lug watering cans or hoses all the way out here every time we need to water. So I will keep you posted on that setup. We're just gonna leave it for now. The gutter will be, you know, hopefully in the next month or so. We've got to do a little research and kind of figure out how to set this up properly, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to get the discounted barrel. So here we are. Until we have that set up, I have the tedious task of filling up the watering cans and dragging the hose back here so I can water the back bed. So I'm going to do that, and then I will water the raised beds. I'm hoping to get the irrigation all hooked up this weekend so that we don't have to worry about watering those and we just can focus on the in-ground beds. But we'll see how the weather is and all the other tasks we have to get done. It's a long weekend and it's always busy, so I tend to add far too many things to my list and never get through it all. Back in the garden Thursday afternoon, and I wanted to share with you what I've been planting over the last few days because the beds are starting to get full and I didn't want to share it all because it's just more of the same. But I figured I would give you an update so you can see how everything is starting to come together. So I'll flip the camera and I will walk you through the beds and show you what I've got growing so far. So I just put some snapdragons here at the end. I had a whole bunch of those, so I just stuck them in random places to add some color throughout the garden. I put a few cucumbers here, which I know is crazy, but last year I did put some vining plants in the beds and they just like overflowed and it was so pretty, and they surprisingly did okay. These right here are all peppers. There are a couple different varieties of hot peppers. Some of them, you can't even see that one anymore, have been nibbled, and some of these are starting to get nibbled, so I may have to buy some replacement pepper plants, but I'm just gonna give them a chance and see if they do kind of power through the nibbling. This is an oak tree growing in our garden, so I'm just gonna kill that. Well, I did have 2 eggplant. Now I have a holy one and one that's completely eaten. These 5 here are shishito peppers, also starting to get nibbled, so we will see. I think all of the pepper plants were really small when I put them in, and I wasn't sure if they were even gonna make it, so I put them in kind of knowing that I might have to buy some starts for those this year. More snapdragons. These 2 right here are acorn squash, so again, just trialing. They will spill out over the side of the bed, but I think that's okay. I actually planted some more turnip seeds so that we can kind of get that succession growing. More snapdragons. These are my tomatillos, which I can see are just getting nibbled. I gotta come out here at night because I don't know what's nibbling these. Something's just eating all the fresh leaves, so I haven't been able to spot it yet, but we will find it and manage it. Arugula is going crazy. I just put a few more snapdragons here. These are some bell peppers. Snapdragons there. The chives are starting to bloom, which is so fun. Over in this bed, I sowed some more radish seeds. I need to sow some more carrot seeds, but you can see they're all starting to pop up, and I have like thinned them out so they have a little more room to grow. I might have to do another round of that. Behind me, we've got some more pepper plants. This is just a cluster of flowers, so I have cosmos, snapdragons. I did plant my stock seedlings, but they were so small and those also got nibbled. And the trend seems to be anything that was like really baby was like a yummy leaf to eat. So lesson for next year, they really do need to be a little bit bigger and more mature before I get them in the ground. Celery, fennel, collards, beans, all very happy over here. More beans, more snapdragons, more bell peppers, more cosmos, a few stock and snapdragons. I forget if these are another squash or cucumber, but something vining is here. And then at the end, I planted some flower here, and now I can't remember what it was. It might have been aster, but they were tiny, and honestly, they're doing okay. They are getting a little nibbled, but they might power through. We will see. And then lastly, over here, I think you saw most of this already. I planted some more bok choy. Some of the basil's getting eaten, which happened last year as well. I think it was the beetles at night, and I would come around at night and like pluck the beetles off and put them in a soapy bucket of water, but I just haven't spotted them yet, so I'm not sure what it is. These four seem to be doing just fine, so I don't know, maybe those ones taste better. And then here I put a sugar pie pumpkin. Also a vining plant, also going to get very big, but I just thought it would be fun to try, so we'll see how it does. So that's it for now. As you can see, the beds are starting to look more and more green. Some things are already not doing so hot, so they're gonna need replacements, or we're just gonna have to let them go. This is kind of the game though. You plant all this stuff, well, you grow all this stuff first, and then you plant it all, and then you have to defend your garden, and some of these things just become sacrificial to keep pests and bugs away from other healthy plants. So usually I'm okay with it unless it's a favorite or something I only have one of, and it's still so early in the season for the peppers, so I think this weekend I'll get some more of those just so we can keep those moving at the same pace as everything else. Last night Matt actually drilled the hole in the post over here in the garden table so we could put the hose through it and connect that up. So I'm going to unscrew the caps from all of the main hoses on each bed and just flush water through the system. And then I'm going to cap those back off and run the water and see if we have any leaks, make sure everything's connected and working correctly. And if it is, then I'm going to set up the timer and make sure that's good to go so that we can water the beds with the irrigation lines and I don't have to hose them down every night anymore. I've just gone around and fixed all of the stakes so that it's actually propping the drip lines up relatively level. If there are spots that are low, you can see the water kind of drips down the line and pools in a central spot. So I try to make it as level as possible so it maintains its individual little drip locations. It's not perfect, but that just helps make sure everything's getting watered somewhat evenly. We will keep an eye on it with the 3 drip lines. This is what we set up last year, but I think I had mentioned in an earlier vlog, we didn't really have to use the drip lines that much last year because we got so much rain. So I don't think we got a good sense of whether or not this was appropriate or if we need to run the water longer or add in a 4th drip line. So we'll just kind of monitor the plants, see how well they're doing. Obviously monitor the weather as well. If it's really hot, we may need to water more. And if it seems like we have to run the water for a really long time, then we'll probably add a 4th drip line and just space these out a little bit. So there's a drip line closer to more of the plants. We've got a few leaks at these end caps, so I may have to either trim off the end and re-cap them or cut new lines so that we don't have these leaks. It's fine every now and then, obviously, but if we're running it like this all summer, we're just wasting water on the ends of the beds, and it's just sitting there kind of slowly deteriorating the wood. Obviously, we get rain and all that, but the more water that sits there, the quicker that wood will deteriorate. So just trying to extend the life of them as long as possible. I just watered everything, and I'm just loving this color palette that's slowly starting to develop. We've got the alliums and the chives blooming over there in the corner. We've got these little tiny Tim white alyssum. We've got these like purplish pink salvia, the bluish purple catmint, the like soft green, what's this thing called? Silver mound, which, by the way, I don't know if you remember how big this was when I planted it, but this is spreading so fast and I love it. I'm telling you, I wish you could pet it. It is the softest plant ever. We've got one of my little King Henry violets blooming, more chives, the purple basil. Like, we've got a long way to go, but this just makes me so happy. I forgot to mention earlier as well, but these are tomato cages, which I used last year for some of our tomatoes and peppers. And a trick I actually learned was to put them in your bed upside down, because they're a little bit more stable that way. And then you kind of create this like teepee at the top. I just use a zip tie to kind of pinch all of those ends together. But I actually like the look of them better this way too. And you can kind of just like shimmy them into the dirt. I only use these for the tomatillos and some of the peppers. Technically, peppers don't need support, but the fruit is just so heavy that I feel like they flop over and they sit in the dirt and then they go bad. So I like to support them with smaller trellises like this just to keep the fruit up. And then the tomatillos just go insanely wild. So it's nice to have multiple things to sort of stuff the branches in so that they don't flop over. Last year they were like into the aisle on both sides, just going absolutely crazy. So I'm trying to plan ahead a little better this year. Alright, I finished watering all of the gardens and tidying up outside. Now I'm back inside. I just prepped dinner. We're gonna have smashed tacos on the grill. We have like a cast iron, I forget what this thing's called. Cast iron, I'll put the name on the screen, I'm totally blanking. But basically we just set this on the grill and then we can cook our smashed tacos. It's just nicer to do outside because it doesn't smell up the whole house and the grease splatter doesn't get everywhere. So we're taking advantage of that. Now while I wait for Matt to get home, I'm going to dry out my eggshells in the oven. So I've been collecting these in a bag in the freezer every time we use eggs. And if you watch some of my older vlogs, you may have seen this already, but I dry them out, crush them into a powder, and then I add them to my garden beds for added calcium. Now, not every single plant likes this, but for the most part, most of the vegetables and things I'm growing in the raised beds are perfectly happy with this, and I don't do an excessive amount. It's just a little sprinkle on the top. Drying them in the oven basically kills anything that's left on them, so they're safe to put in beds where you're growing food. I'm going to put these on a cookie sheet, spread them all out as much as I can so that they all dry out evenly. Then I'm going to put them in the oven at 350. We will cook them for about 10 minutes to start, and I'll just add time until they're completely dried out. Once they're done, I will put them in the blender, grind them down into a powder, and put them in my jar of eggshell powder, which is currently empty. It's just an empty glass jar I saved. And then maybe tomorrow we will sprinkle them in the garden beds that didn't get it added yet. I only had enough last time to add it to 2 beds, so I assume this will give us enough for 2 more beds. And then we'll just keep collecting them. Happy Saturday, happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone is doing something fun. We have a very long list of things that we will probably not get through because it's unrealistic. But we're gonna try to chip away at some of the big things that we just have not had time to do. I need to run to the garden center and pick up some flowers to plant up my hanging baskets, which I bought last week, and I just need to get those done. So we're gonna run to the garden center. Then I need to water some of the gardens that I didn't have a chance to do last night, and it's hot today, so they're looking a little bit droopy. Then when Matt gets home from golf, we need to cut up the last pile of logs that we pulled out of the clearing. And then I also wanted to share with you a few pairs of shorts I recently got. It's super random, but I'm always on the hunt for good basics. Good jeans, good shorts, good t-shirts. I'm sure there's sales this weekend, so I will share those. And then I don't know what else we'll have time for. I still have to edit this video, so we might be out of time after that, but we will see. The 3 different flowers I ended up buying for the hanging baskets and these 2 planters I have at the end of the porch are Bacopa, Calabricoa, and Terrenia, which is this violet flower. So they're all vining. You can see they're starting to spread, but like over the course of the summer these will get really big and full and they'll just keep producing flowers. So really all you have to do is stick them in the soil and make sure they're watered. Some of them recommend a fertilizer, you know, throughout the season, just to kind of keep them going and happy. These are the hanging baskets I bought last week or maybe the week before from Ace Hardware. I really like them because they just feel a little more fitting for our house. We actually have this metal, actually 2 like metal patio sets. One is in the garden, but it has this sort of like spiral detail on it, which is almost identical, and I'm looking down because you're sitting on a table that matches that patio set that has that detail, and it just felt very fitting. I also liked these because they have the coconut fiber baskets, so you know you can just put your potting soil in these. They help retain moisture. You can reuse them, and then once they kind of get a little bit ratty and bad condition, you can just buy new coconut fiber baskets and keep the wire hanger. I'm really excited to get these up because ever since we bought this house I've been thinking about hanging planters, and they already have the hooks installed. I just never got around to it last year, so let's get these planted up. All potted up. So I just went every other one, and I have 2 of each of the plants, and I kind of like flop them up and have the vines flop into the inside so that it kind of fills out everything. But eventually these will start trailing over the edges. So I'm just gonna give them a really deep water, and then we're gonna hang one in between each of our columns here on these hooks. my fake Christmas trees in that I usually plant flowers around, and I've just been slacking, so I'm going to fix those up. They look a little bit sad. One of them has tipped over, so I need to fix it, and then I'm going to put the rest of the flowers in these two with a little additional potting soil. I'll probably have to give some fertilizer to these because this soil is old, but I'm not going to dump it out and replace it all because it's a really big pot, as you can see, so it takes a lot to fill. I actually just took a minute to put away all of my winter clothes and put the tubs in closets. So while I'm up here, I wanted to share with you those shorts. 4 pairs are from Abercrombie, and I have 1 pair from Old Navy. I'm always on the hunt for like higher waisted shorts with a reasonable length that don't look too baggy and are still flattering. So the high-rise dad short from Abercrombie so far is one of my favorites. They also have a curve love style if you're a curvier fit, and they're just so comfortable. Like, they don't scrunch up too high, they wear really nicely and don't get too baggy. They're up high, which I like because it just tucks everything in, makes me feel more comfortable, and they're long enough in the back. They've got pockets, they're not sewed pockets, which is great, and they have a ton of different washes. So I have 3 of these washes and I love them all. My favorite, which I will show you in a second, is the blue and white stripe. It is adorable. This is like a medium wash. It doesn't have any of that weird like brown coffee staining. I don't know what that style is, but I absolutely hate it. This is just like a regular old blue jean. They have dark, they have light, they've got white, they've got black. Some of them have a sewn seam, some of them have a ripped edge, so you know, you can kind of choose what style and fit you like best. I'm gonna put the blue and white ones on and then I will show you those. These are the blue and white. I'm obsessed with them. I think they are the cutest little pattern. It's actually like a jean material. I just feel like this is the perfect summer short. It's fairly neutral, so it goes with everything, and it's got that New England nautical flair, which I love. You can tell they're fairly loose. These are the same size as the other ones, but these ones fit a little bit looser and actually feel a little bit higher. Matt has always said that when he buys jeans, he has to get multiples of the same size because every single one fits different. And it's the same with like women's bottoms as well. I feel like sometimes I'll try on 2 of the exact same size and one's tighter, one's looser. So if you ever have trouble with sizing, try that trick because sometimes you'll find a slightly better fit. So another of the same fit, just a different wash. These are lighter with a cut folded seam. So these just feel like nice and light and summery. I really did want to try the white, but they didn't have them at the time when I ordered. These are also a 25, but you can see like these aren't quite as loose as the blue and white stripe. So I don't know what it is. I'm sure if I wear them a few times, they'll kind of stretch out and loosen up a bit. But I've already washed the darker pair I got and they washed really well. They don't feel skin tight now. Like, I hate when you buy a pair of jeans, they fit perfectly, and then you wash them and you dry them and then you're like, oh my god, I can't breathe, I hate these. So, so far so good on that front. These were probably my favorite of all. So this is the 4th pair from Abercrombie. They're like a eyelet style, loose white, like not quite linen, they're like a cotton. For these, I did get an extra small because they are much higher up on your waist. So the measurement is really around your waist rather than your hips. So keep that in mind when you're trying on sizes. And lastly, you know my shopping isn't done if I haven't found a pair of green. So these are actually from Old Navy. I love them. I have a pair that's similar from Abercrombie from 2 years ago. They have a back pocket. They have a nice tie around the waist. They've got front pockets. They're a nice length. They're super airy and flowy, which I like. They've got this cute little ruffle along the top, which I feel like is a nice feminine detail if you're into that. And they had a couple of different colors. Back to the original outfit. I will make sure to include links to everything in case you're interested in shopping around. I'm sure there are a whole bunch of Memorial Day weekend sales still lingering, so check things out and let me know if you find anything you like. Matt just got home from golf and we decided instead of cutting up the logs today, we're gonna save that for tomorrow and we are going to start cleaning out the barn, which is a disaster. It's kind of been a dumping zone. So it is time to start tidying things up. We have a few things that we need to get rid of. We've got a ton of stuff that just needs to be organized and put away. And we've also got some things that I need to put on Facebook Marketplace to sell. So we've got our work cut out for us. We'll see how much we can get through today. Yikes. Ew, is that a snake? Ew.
This little baby.
Ew, look at him.
You little baby.
We don't want you here.
Hey, you got me.
Stay out of our barn. Doesn't look like much, but we made incredible progress. So we've moved a whole bunch of the scrap wood we had up here where we kind of store it all for now. We just tidied everything that was on the ground. We removed all the junk that was on top of these tables and underneath and kind of created a somewhat organized mess. We got rid of a bunch of stuff. We reorganized this shelf over here and all of the tool stuff in this room so we can actually like walk in there. This area over here is like my storage for things I find on Facebook Marketplace, but also things that we need to sell. So some of this I'm keeping, like the mirror and the daybed we bought, but some of this is old, like the lights and the shutters we removed ourselves from this house that need to be sold. So we've got to sort through this and put some of it on Facebook Marketplace, donate some of it, trash some of it, like this is an old couch. But it's just contained to this area, which is pretty good. So now we've got all of this space to work in, which is lovely. Well, you best believe we are pooped, but I'm very glad to have that done because the barn was a disaster and I would just throw things in there and look away and I just didn't want to go in there. And now we have space to actually work, which is so nice, and I'm gonna try to keep it tidy, but it's very hard, you know? It just builds up slowly and then you look and you're like, how did this happen? But I'm gonna try to put things away, keep things in order, you know, clean things up when I'm done with projects, and hopefully it will remain somewhat tidy. I am outside with the dogs. Matt's gonna make smash burgers for dinner. I'm gonna check on the garden, water the back gardens, and then we're gonna call it a day. So I'm gonna wrap the vlog up here. As always, thank you for spending your valuable time watching the vlog. I really appreciate it. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe for future updates. We are gonna kick next week's vlog off with a round of golf. Matt and I are gonna do 9 holes tomorrow, so I will bring you along and we'll see how we do. So I will see you out on the golf course next week.